Faith Watchers, welcome back to Faith, Family, and Funny Reviews. If you're new here on this channel, I share with you delightful, family-friendly, and faith-based movies and television shows. Happy Friday, y'all. Yes, we made it to the weekend. Okay, for those of you who are like gonna be out of school, how the days off, where you just enjoy the weekends, period. I mean, I know you all are excited today is Friday, okay? Oh, y'all, it has been a long week, a long, beautiful, and fast-paced week for me. It really has, okay? But first, I need to get it to me. I know I be getting it to me sometimes ahead of time. But I want to ask y'all, how are y'all doing? How was y'all week? What did y'all get into? Y'all gotta tell me what fun y'all been having, all of that, what you've been streaming, what you've been at the theaters watching, because there's been some good stuff at the theaters, okay? So don't be acting brand new, don't act like y'all don't know, okay? Because I told y'all, I've been telling y'all about this stuff, right? So please drop it in the comments and let me know what y'all watching, what are you streaming, what are you anticipating, expecting to watch this weekend? All of that good stuff, yeah, I want to hear about it, okay? But y'all, as for me, oh yeah, y'all can tell me how y'all feeling and all that too. Don't forget that part, But yeah, as for me, I have literally, well, if I really get into me, okay, I like just got back in from the movie theater, like seriously, just now, like walked in the door. I already knew what I was gonna do. I already knew what I was gonna do. I knew that I had to get on here and tell y'all about this movie that I saw. I just had to tell y'all. I could not hold this in and say, okay, let me chill a little bit. Let me relax, unwind. Maybe I'll record tomorrow. No, it was none of that because number one, I got a really busy day tomorrow. My window of free time is very limited, so I know that wasn't gonna happen. So I said I knew I had to get on here tonight, but also because of how good this film is, I said it is a lot. It's a lot to unpack. I knew I had to tell y'all about. I knew we had to talk about this. We have to have this conversation. It ain't no putting this conversation on hold. Nah, y'all. We had to get into this as soon as possible. So that's why I don't feel like for real, y'all. But yeah, that's one thing. That's the first thing. Okay. The second thing, I got a lot done today. Because y'all watching this on Friday, but I record this on Thursday. I record this Thursday evening, right? But early, I got a lot done. Like I ran a lot of errands, got different things done that I've been putting off, been like kind of procrastinating on. And that was my fault. But I told myself, you know, thank you God for helping me get through it today. But I don't really like feeling that overwhelmed by waiting till the last minute to do stuff. So you know how y'all be like, okay, I learned my lesson. So we're gonna do better. So that's what I was telling myself earlier. Like no more putting stuff off to literally the last minute, okay? Because that's what I did earlier. So after I went through all of that, my rounds, running errands and all of that stuff, my next thing that I did, I sat down. No, I finished reading my own book. Yeah. Y'all, okay, yeah, because for those of y'all ain't know, well, you probably know, you know, seen a book trailer and all that stuff, but yeah, I recently published my middle grade book. Okay, it's the first book to the series, right? And you know, when you're a writer, I mean, some of y'all who are writers out there, whether you are published or whatever the case may be, you're a writer, regardless of whether you publish or not published, okay? So we know how that goes. It's kind of hard to turn off that part of you that's always kind of critiquing things, critiquing yourself, critiquing different scenes and all of that. Even to the point when you done finish the book, you done finish your drafts, you finish the actual book, and you know, okay, this is it. This is what I want to share with the whole entire world. When you get it in book form, at least for me, it's still kind of difficult for me to turn it off, that part of me that's still kind of looking for errors and all of this stuff. And I'm like, even though it's like what's done is done, it's still kind of hard for me to turn it off. But still, I told myself at reading this book, because it's such an easy read, especially for the audience that it's for, so I wanted to make sure that it was an easy read and stuff like that. So I literally have been reading it for the past, well, all week, turning off that part of myself, turning off that writer part of myself. Turn off that part of myself that is like, okay, you are the writer, you wrote this. No, just going into it simply as a reader. So I turned that part of myself off, even though it was difficult, but I did it. And I simply allowed myself to get caught up in the story and enjoy the story for what it is. And so I just finished that today, actually reading it from a reader standpoint. So that was pretty fun for me. I enjoyed it. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to write middle grade and eventually like write for YA, because I'm going to be following this character even through high school and stuff, is because I enjoyed those books the most. Okay, I always felt like Christian romance was like my favorite, my top favorite. But when I got into middle grade and that kind of thing, I'm like, no, these are my favorite. These are my favorite. That's my top. And then Christian romance kind of follow right behind here. But yeah. So I'm excited about that, because after I did that, y'all, let me tell you, I got on my computer and I started, because I had already started book 2. Like, I literally already started book 2, and I got on my computer and I started going back into that world, back to the world of these wonderful characters who I wish I grew up with. I wish they were like my friends growing up and stuff like that. And so I had an amazing time. I wrote like 3,000 words. That is my goal, the goal that I give myself, because of my work schedule and my window of time is so limited, especially throughout the week. It's really like that 7 days a week, honestly, to be honest with y'all. Okay, between YouTube, getting these videos out for y'all, finding the time to watch the movies, the television shows that you and I talk about, and then you just got real life stuff, living and all of that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, throwing in writing, continuing to write books and things like that. So you can imagine how limited my time can be, right? You can imagine it, right? So that's why I gave myself like 3,000 words a day. To me, that is reasonable. At least for me, it's still a stretch for me, but it's reachable to me as well. So I get excited when I actually meet those goals. And I met that goal today. I was so caught up in the story, y'all, as I was writing. The words were literally pouring forth, because I know these characters now. Like, I really know them. Of course, I knew them in book 1, but now it's like this world has begun. It has begun, right? And so now I'm really on this journey with them and knowing their growth, knowing like where they are in their journey with God and all these different things. So it was so much fun. It was like so much fun writing. And I usually feel the closest, and I even told God that today, y'all. I feel the closest to him when I'm writing, so that makes it even more special to me when I'm writing, and makes it easier as well, because I feel so close to him. Like, I literally feel like he's there and working through me, just pouring forth the words, like we're literally one. And I know we're like that 24/7, but I don't know, it's just something about when I'm writing and it's just me and him in this whole nother world. It's great. It's amazing, right? I know I gave y'all, probably most of you, a little bit too much. You're probably like, okay, beloved, that was a little too much. I know I don't really talk about writing like that on this channel, because it's a movie review channel, and yes, y'all my friends, we family, we just talk about stuff sometimes before we get into the review. That's just how it goes. But most of the time I don't necessarily talk about writing as much as I just did, but because it was like fresh on my mind and I was so proud of myself because of the goal that I accomplished today, I just had to tell y'all about it. So y'all forgive me if it feels like, okay, but love, goodness, girl, you gotta say all that. I mean, we get you, but still, come on now, girl, get to the review. Let's get back to movies, okay? So if you're one of those, forgive me if I just kind of ranted off a little bit, but y'all know how I go on the channel. We just talk like that sometimes because we family and everything like that. But yeah, I had an amazing day. Today was so relaxing. It was so productive for me. It was just amazing. Okay, back to y'all. All right, back to y'all. Like I asked y'all to do, drop in the comments how y'all feeling, how y'all doing, what are y'all up to, all that good stuff. Overall, I hope that you're just having an amazing, wonderful life with the Lord and drawing closer to him, that he may draw closer to you, all that good stuff. But yeah, with all of that being said, yes, I'm gonna stop ranting. I'm gonna stop myself. Stop, beloved. Stop it, girl. Y'all know how I go, okay? But we're gonna go ahead and get started with our special feature today, which is titled Sarah's Oil. Now, this film is playing right now in your local theaters. It came out on November the 7th, and I'm just like, when I heard about it, y'all, I knew it was something definitely that I wanted to see, but at the same time, y'all know that Karen Kingsbury's The Christmas Ring is out as well. And because I didn't have a whole lot of free time this week, and I knew most likely that I was only going to be able to squeeze in one film from the theaters thus far this week. I mean, I was like going back and forth in my mind. Do I want to see Sarah's Oil or Karen Kingsbury? And I knew the most popular thing, probably according, I know many of you are more aware of Karen Kingsbury's The Christmas Ring. I did a poll and all of that. So I know a lot of y'all are probably more aware of that. And also, you see more advertisements for The Christmas Ring as opposed to Sarah's Oil. And so I knew that probably would have been the way to go as far as just popularity or just demand and who most likely are going to actually watch the video, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it is all about the Lord here on this channel, serving him and whatever he wants, whatever he desires. That is mostly my goal. I hope that you all be on board and watch every review, every video, and support everything that we just talk about on the channel. But I know that's not the case for every single person that come across this channel or even subscribe to this channel. I get it. I know how it goes. I'm not delusional, right? I know the reality of things. But so at the same time, like I said, it's God first, and that's where he led me to watch Sarah's Oil today. I was literally praying about it all week, and I was definitely like, before I even left the house today, I was praying about it. Like, God, show me, should I go see this today? And I had that peace, and I saw it, and I have to say I was not disappointed. And I was kind of concerned too, because literally before I went to the theater, I was kind of sleepy. I was already watching a film at home that we're going to be talking about next week, and I was like dozing off, and it wasn't because of the film. It was just, I was just sleepy. And then I'm like, okay, here I am going to push myself to go out to the theater. I hope I don't fall asleep. You know, you just hope you don't do that. You're going to spend the money, then the time to get there, the time while you're there, to drive back. I mean, it's just this whole thing, okay? But I have to tell you, and I was surprised, but it was a good surprise. I did not fall asleep. I was literally wide-eyed. Y'all, I'm talking about wide-eyed, okay? I was like that the entire time of watching this film. It was not a moment in this film that it was just a dull moment, a moment where you felt like, okay, did that really need to be in this film? Y'all could have cut that. Y'all could have left that in the writer's room, or, you know, certain little things you come up in your mind. You're like, okay, why did this film have to even be that long? I mean, we could have saved amount of time, right? It was never a moment like that in this film. This film is amazing, beautifully shot. The actresses did an amazing job, so believable. This story is impactful. It's based off a true story, so I knew right away when it's based off a true story, most likely I'm already in, I'm on board. But the way that it was delivered is absolutely amazing. And I watched a review prior to going to see this film. I watched a review probably like maybe yesterday or the day before, and I knew my style and different things was totally different from these particular reviewers, and so that's why I knew it was safe to kind of watch them, because I just wanted to get an idea of what someone coming from a total different background would have to say about it. And even though they mentioned that they enjoyed the film and it was good, but they gave it like an 8 out of 10, and I was like, okay, that's still passing. But at the same time, I was like, I wonder why didn't it get a 10? Because they said so many good things about it, so I didn't understand why they gave it an 8. But y'all know I don't judge films. We don't rate films on this channel. It's just for the fact that it's being premiered on the channel lets you know it's amazing. Okay, it's just too good for a number, right? Everything that we talk about here. But so, and I have to say, watching this, it was beyond 8, beyond 10, whatever number that you want to come up with. It was beyond that. This film is amazing, y'all. Okay, here we meet Sarah. She's probably like, I'm assuming probably like 12 years old, somewhere around there. Such a sweet, remarkable, brave girl to be living in the times that she's living in. And this is back then, what you can imagine. You have racism and all kind of different things going on. People of color was not treated equally as any other race that considered themselves kind of superior and stuff like that. And so it was when this film opened up and started, and we hear Sarah kind of narrating the story of what's going on, what's taking place, and certain scenes that were happening. It made me feel some kind of way because I can't stand injustice. I can't stand to see someone treated a particular way based off the color of their skin. I don't like to watch certain, that's why I try to stay away from slave movies and all that kind of stuff. Yes, we know certain these things happen, they exist, but it makes you sometimes angry, okay? I just be honest. And so when certain things were happening at the very beginning of this film, I was like, okay, what did I walk into? I just, y'all know, you could tell, okay? I was just, we could have stopped there, right? But as the film started to progress, and even though those elements were still there, was still playing out in the background of the film, and it still played a major part in the plot of it, because I mean, this is the era that this little girl lived in. And yeah, you had many moments. Well, I had many moments where I was just like, it's not right, it's not fair, why are they treating this little girl like this, and all kind of different things. But more than that, I want to go a little bit deeper with y'all, okay? Yes, we know that color, you can imagine this is a little girl of color we're talking about, so you can imagine people of color, yes, certain things, disgraceful, dishonorable things were happening to them in the way that they were being treated during this era, which honestly it's still going on, not kind of going on, but it's still going on, whether we want to admit it or not. But yeah, that's a whole nother story, okay? We ain't finna get in that. We ain't finna get into 2025. We're gonna stick here in Sarah's story, right? But anyways, but it also pointed out to me, not only, yeah, that's stating the obvious. Yes, people of color, certain things were happening at this time, but also anyone who is not rich. I just felt like this film would touch them in such a powerful way as well, regardless of who you are. Yes, if you're a person of color, I would encourage you to go watch this film. This is a part of history, a history that people would like to erase or make like never exist. So yes, get as much of the history that is available right now as possible, so you can preserve it for your family, your loved ones, and yourself, to keep you encouraged as we're moving into this crazy time that none of us have ever seen before. So definitely. But also, people, if you're not considered rich by societal standards, yes, we know according to the word of God, yes, we know what we have and who we are in him, right? But I'm saying, according to the world standards, if you are not considered in that top 1% of billionaire or whatever, this film is definitely for you as well, because it would show you the length that people would go to just to get money, to get power, even if they know that it never belonged to them from the beginning, even if they know that it is wrong. Because this little girl, this was her land that she inherited from her ancestors. It was given to her legally. She had the deed, all of that. Her mom and dad did an amazing job protecting her and protecting all that was given to her, even though there were so many different people throughout this film that were trying to take advantage of her, that were literally trying to destroy her, and even went as far as wanting to take her life. Yes, a little girl, like, you would think, like, why in the world, how in the world could you even begin to think to do this to a child? But in the end, that's what I mean. When it comes to money and when it comes to power, it literally doesn't matter what color you are, how old you are, or any of those things. At the end of the day, it is about green. People see green, and that's all that they see. Is something just takes them over. And that's what was happening to the villains in this film. they went to the extreme to want to destroy this little girl and all that she had. And I love that she always gave glory to God throughout the film. She knew she had something special, this land, and she convinced her parents that it was more to this land than just it being land. She knew it was oil there. She knew that it was something given to them by God there. And once the regular old folks got a hold of that, that this wasn't just a simple little land, but this was actually the richest land in this county, in this state, you can imagine it was about to be an all-out war, like seriously. And it was crazy. It was like an adventure, y'all, that you were going on in this film. And the whole time I'm just like kind of on the edge of my seat, holding my chest, holding my heart, like you just wanting her to make it, not wanting nothing to happen to her, not wanting nothing to happen to her little brother or her mom or dad. And I love the mom here. She was so real. Like the way that she loved her kids was and stood before them, willing to protect them. And at the end of the day, her thing was, yes, I know this is a gift from the Lord that her daughter convinced her of, but she was willing to just let them take it. She just wanted their lives to be spared. It wasn't worth it to them, even though they were like dirt poor and all kind of different things like that. Their lives were more important. She knew the value of the life of herself, of her husband and her children, and it just wasn't worth it. Who needed the strife, who needed the hatred and all of these different things that came with it? And she was just wondering, is it a blessing or is it a curse? And so much, she had so many different moments throughout this film. And then you had, and one of the things that I felt like she held on to, but yes, the word of God himself, but so much of God was working through her little girl, Sarah, that Sarah was like the glue to it all. She is the one that kept her family staying strong, even when they wanted to give up, even when they wanted to kind of just run away, escape all of this, get rid of this so-called blessing or whatever it was supposed to be. Sarah was the one that kept fighting. She refused to give up. I was just like amazed, okay, that a little girl had the boldness, the courage, the strength, and she knew who she was. She knew that she was not accepted according to society. So many of the people, the townsfolk, looked down on her because of the color of her skin, and she still walked around with her head held high. When it was time to talk to people who didn't look like her, she looked them in the eye and she spoke with boldness. She spoke with faith. She did not blink, okay? And it didn't matter, even though they said different words, I mean derogatory words and different things that she had to hear all of her little girl life, and I'm sure even to adulthood. She didn't let that faze her. Of course it hurt, but it's like she didn't show her tears before them. You cry in the dark. You cry alone with God in your bedroom when you're on your knees pouring out your heart to him and you praying to him. But before them people, you look them in the eye and you let them know, you know who you are. You know who God created you to be. And you are not by accident. The color of your skin is not by accident. God knew what you were going to be facing, and he still made you to look the way that you look. He still gave you the kind of character you have. And this little girl cared about all people. She looked at everyone alike. Even though people wanted to tear her down because of the color of her skin, wanted to take from her, wanted to steal from her, she still loved. She still spoke with such, like, you could tell she had such a pure heart and such innocence. And I walked out of that film, y'all. I literally walked out of that film proud of being not only the person that I am, because I always felt like, yes, I love the person that God created me to be, but proud of being the person that God made me look like. Like, we have no control over that. We can't choose the color of our skin or, you know, all these different things that people tend to look at because they're only looking at the surface of things and wanting to judge you based off of that. But I walked out of that film with my head held high, happy and thankful, even thanking God literally. Thank you for making me to be a Black woman. It is wonderful to be all of this, even though it comes with so much, and it showed in this film, because like I said, it's still here in 2025, right? And I love the fact that that is special. Sarah was a jewel, a treasure, a true treasure. The treasure wasn't necessarily the oil, but it was the girl that God created her to be, the spirit that he placed inside of her and inside of her parents, and how much of who she was changed the community because she walked with such integrity and she loved. She was meek, she was humble. Throughout all of this, not once did she get violent. And I was just like, oh, it just had me crying, y'all. I was just like, okay, God. Just happy, overall happy for her, happy for her family. This had such a beautiful ending, which was a special treat for me. But the journey to get there, it was hard, it was challenging, it was difficult. There were so many scenes that broke your heart, and yet you were standing with this character, you were standing with this family. And I had an amazing time. Overall, I had an amazing time, right? And then I want to mention too, the guy in this film, one of the main guys I love. And it was kind of crazy because he's very flawed, and it showed that he was a very flawed character. But his encounter with Sarah was beautiful, okay? It was beautiful. What's his name again? I had his name in my mind, but I wanted to say this before I end this review. Okay, Bert. All right, Bert. Bert was a white guy, and he wasn't like the rest. The way that he met Sarah, all she wanted was like a glass of water, that this restaurant waitress refused to give her because she's black or whatever, And Bert happened to be sitting in a restaurant and saw that, and he spoke up for Sarah, not knowing who she was or anything, and said, how about you just give her a glass of lemonade and put it on my tab? And I just loved that. That was the beginning of their journey, of the first meeting, and I loved that. Even throughout it all, it's like God always touched someone, that it shows not all people are like. Bert was different, and even though he had so many tempting moments in this film to turn into a villain in a sense, and to do what everybody else was trying to do to Sarah, who didn't look like her, trying to rob her of all that the Lord blessed her with, thinking that she just didn't know, thinking that she's a dummy because she looks a certain way. And Bert fought that. He fought that because he spent so much time with Sarah, and he knew it was something different about this little girl. It was something special about her. She was nothing like what they were used to. And it was such a beautiful thing to see that in the end, she was the only one that truly cared about his soul. And he admitted that, and that totally changed his journey, his trajectory of life, and the choices that he ended up making, because he met the one person in the world that cared about his soul. So yeah, once again, this film is titled Sarah's Oil. Y'all can find it playing right now in your local theaters. Get out there, watch it with your family, friends, and loved ones. Support this film. It is definitely a story that needs to be told, that needs to be passed down, because we can all learn something from this story and take so much hope and encouragement from it. So we're going to be coming out of, let's see, Proverbs chapter 20, verse 6, and it reads, most men will proclaim each his own goodness, but who can find a faithful man? That's all I have for y'all for this video. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I know I had a lot to say in this review. Goodness, it's going on 30 minutes soon, but it had to be said. Everything in here had to be said, okay? So thank y'all for your patience. I really appreciate it. Please remember to leave y'all thoughts, your prayers, your all take in the comment section below, because I do read them and I do enjoy hearing from you. And until next time, may the Lord bless and keep you both now and forevermore.